Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. A big welcome to all of you. My name is Laura and I'm delighted that you are joining us for today's ESPC community webinar. Today I am joined by Alexander Vogtel, who will talk to you guys about how you can revolutionize your company using Azure OpenAI. We love hearing what you guys have to say, so remember to join in on the conversation about today's webinar and more on X. Our handle is at ESPC_community and our hashtag is hashtag ESPC24. Tweet us, at us and tell us what you learned. Don't forget to check out our Learning Hub, which is updated daily with the latest blogs, ebooks, webinars and how-to videos. You can access and view the Learning Hub by visiting our website, sharepointeurope.com, and clicking the Content tab at the top. Don't let the learning stop here. Continue to keep up and stay ahead by joining us for our next Azure AI Week webinar, Adopting the Azure OpenAI Service with Killian Bissett. This webinar takes place tomorrow, Tuesday, January 16th from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. CET. For more information on this webinar, please check out sharepointeurope.com/Azure AI Week. You asked and we listened. The ESPC 2-for-1 sale is coming back. Bring a colleague for free. Double the impact of your learning. With our 2-for-1 deal, you can bring a colleague along at no extra cost. Success is sweeter when shared. Seize this opportunity to multiply your insights and achievements. What is a 2-for-1 sale? You can buy 2 4-day tickets for the price of 1, or you can buy 2 3-day tickets for the price of 1. So how does this work? Well, on February 1st, select 2 4-day tickets or 2 3-day tickets and enter the correct code. Put a reminder in your calendars for February 1st at 9 a.m. CET and prepare to act fast, as once this discount is gone, it's really gone. You can get your code at sharepointeurope.com/ESPC 2-for-1 offer. Elevate your Microsoft Power Platform work ethic and supercharge your savings. You can save a whopping €500 on the European Power Platform Conference 2024 tickets. But do hurry, as this offer is only valid until the 31st of January. And you can visit sharepointeurope.com/European Power Platform Conference pricing to snatch up this offer. So, if you have any questions at any point during the webinar, please feel free to type them into the questions window and Alexander will kindly answer them. As always, this webinar will be recorded and added to the Resource Centre, where you will be notified by email when it is available. And now I'm going to pass you over to today's webinar presenter, Alexander. Hello, Alexander.
Hi, how are you?
Thanks for joining us today.
Sure, thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. Thank you, and welcome everybody. And we are going to talk today about the generative AI, and we have 1 hour, so this started directly. My name is Alex. I'm CEO in Germany in one company that provides Microsoft consulting services. I have done PhD at the KIT, that's formerly University of Karlsruhe, and my PhD was on natural language user interfaces, so how to run this natural language, how to do some dialogues and so on. I'm Microsoft MVP since 2020 and trainer since 2013 already. And what is the agenda today? First of all, there's an introduction on generative AI. The second part will be about Azure AI in general. And the third one is about your data and how to add your data to the services and to use them. So on the generative AI, the first part, we talk about natural language conversation, about some NLP tasks, about text pre-processing, and so if you're already familiar, we see ChatGPT a little bit in action. There are a lot of demos here during the session, but feel free to ask questions about it during this. The second part is about Azure AI. So there are some changes in Microsoft portfolio on Azure OpenAI compared to the Azure AI Studio now, but I will cover both. So we see also OpenAI, also AI Studio. If the time is left, I do a big demo on this also. We talk about models, deployment, chat background, prompt engineering, and so on. And on the last stack is about the data. What is the use case? What are the generative answers, and how to aid your data and how to use it? So let's see. The first part is generative AI. And we are talking about natural language conversation. So there are typically 6 steps there, from the automatic speech recognition, from the speech to text. That is the first path. Also, the last path is text to speech. We don't care about step 1 and step 6, but it's already available in a preview if we want to use it later. Step 6 is text to speech. So if you have a written text and you want to provide the speech, so you want to listen to this natural language, so that is the steps behind. Step 2 is natural language processing. Step 3 is natural language understanding, dialogue management, next one, and the last one, and natural language generation. I have done this during my PhD on my own, and Microsoft AI or Azure AI, there are a lot of parts that are taken from us. They are prepared for us. We can use them. We have to pay, of course, for this, but it takes a lot of time to create this kind of services by your own. For example, on natural language processing. This is the first one, because you get you get only one text and you have to pre-process this. So the computer is really stupid. It understands only 0 and 1s, and you want to get there to get this kind of understanding there. What have you done? Do you want to rent a car? Do you want to buy something? Do you want to sell something? So and so on. If there's something wrong, and that was my part of the PhD, there should be a dialogue management system that takes your input, reprocesses, takes the output, and asks for more information, for example, and so on. If you talk about Azure AI and also generative AI, we are here. So these all steps, they are already done for you, and you get your content created for this time. There are some NLP tasks. Typical NLP task is, of course, speech preprocessing. So you text to speech here, or speech to text. Text processing, you have the tokenization, word segmentation. So you have your bunch of input, your query, your sentence, and then you want to get there and provide some information on what kind of words. Later we will talk about tokens. What kind of words do we have in our sentence? And for example, if you have your bunch of words and you have to provide information about the action behind this word, there's some limitation done, stemming, part of speech tagging. Don't care about this one. Also parsing tree, dependency trees, and name recognition, and so on. But I will not go too deep into this one. Perhaps I will say, for example, for my query is Karlsruhe is the best city in Germany. Since I'm from Germany, you see, we talk about in English. This is simple, I think, because in Germany you have some compound words. For example, Mittelspurfahrer. That is someone who drives in the middle of a lane on the German autobahn. So in English, we will say for this one, perhaps 2 sentences, middle lane, driver, or something like this. The sentences or the words in the sentence are already tokens or already in the words, so you do not need to separate them. But for the computer, if you say something like this one, you have to do some tokenization. For example, you need to provide the information about what kind of word is this one, and so there's a verb, and so on. You have to do some normalization and also part of speech tagging, and that is what you get on the Azure OpenAI side for free. Not really for free, you have to pay for the service, but it's already included. So you don't care about this. You just say your query, you get your output. And this is the story about the ChatGPT, for example. If you are not if it's the first time you see this one, it should be a short introduction. I just say, please create an agenda for a 30 minutes talk about ChatGPT. And you see that is a query, that's our out in your input. And when we provide this query, we see that the answer is generated word by word. That is about the transformer architecture. So we see the input we provided in there plus the output already inside our output. So we see what is the example here and the finalized it here. You can see then we have done the introduction of 5 minutes. This is been generated for us. There's an understanding for ChatGPT for 7 minutes. And then I can go on and just hit for ChatGPT and say, okay, please give me an introduction because I want to start my talk. Now I want to get here and provide the information after this one. Please give me an introduction to ChatGPT. The exercise here, you see that it's now generated. Here's welcome. Welcome everyone. Today we are going to explore the fascinating world of ChatGPT and so on. You see that is the introduction of a talk. That is a presentation talk. And that is really cool because I need to think about it, what is here, and then I can just read it and perhaps copy paste this one, and then I can talk to you about this one. So that is pretty good. So that's nice. But what if I want to hit this query one more time in a new chat? Then we see that this information is, what do you think? What would be the here? Please give me an introduction. I'm sorry, I stopped the video. What do you think? What will be happen if I hit? Please give me an introduction to ChatGPT. Of course, certainly I am ChatGPT, an AI language model developed by OpenAI. That is a briefly introduction to ChatGPT. So the whole time we are going to hit new queries in our ChatGPT as an application. Later we will see Azure AI on this part. We will talk about one query, one answer. Next query, it should be the same query, also the same input, but we get perhaps another or new query back for this. So attention is all you need. Okay, you know that this year 2017, there's a Google paper, the search paper out there. They said attention is all you need. On this paper, they introduce a transformer architecture that is behind ChatGPT, that is behind GPT. And we see here we can get one query, get one answer, get the same query, get another answer. That is neural networks. That's how it works, and so on. So we will see it later on Azure AI. I will mention it one more time later. So the second part, then I wanted just to warm up with you about generative AI. We are going to point about the OpenAI and also to look after the Microsoft portfolio for AI. So we see a lot of, this is Azure Cognitive Service, that's a prepared services for us. So we have here vision, speech, language, decision, also AI now. There's also cognitive search. It calls now Azure AI Search for this. That are some services that are already running in the cloud. And what we are going to use here is we can just go there and create this kind of resource and just provide information with our data or also with data from the internet because they are already prepared for us. So we are focusing on Azure AI. If you are familiar on this, Azure AI is a resource. Earlier, we have here Azure Machine Learning, also this ML platform. If you are a data scientist and you want to build your data models by your own, you have to use Azure Machine Learning, for example. So you provide the data, run your experiments, then you have your model, and then you can use the endpoints to this model to get the queries. It is the same that you have seen earlier on the ChatGPT demo right now. Now, as also the ChatGPT is an application. What is behind the ChatGPT is, for example, the whole bunch of these Azure AI services behind these services. There are data because you have to train your model, you have to provide the information, then you can face it in the application and provide the front end to the end user. So the ChatGPT, I'm a end user for this kind of front end. Behind there, OpenAI have done a lot of work to create the model, to run this kind of experiments, also so to train the model and provide the model for us. So we talk a lot about Azure OpenAI Studio, that is on the left side. We have introduced this one to the customers in May last year at the Microsoft Build, and it was the new one that we could also provide the new data to the studio and so on. In November, as we here planned this kind of webinar, Microsoft announced also during the Ignite Microsoft AI Studio, and this is the new part, and I will also show you this the kind of studio there in a preview. So we focus on this this studio, and you see what can I do in a chat playground. We do now deployments there. We look after the models, but then we are going to the chat playground here, and then you see you can build your customer chat playgrounds, your chatbots or whatever you want. How do you want to speak to this? This is your front end that gets to the end user, and the models, the data, and so on. We can provide on our side. So we have done a lot during the last year on just creating instances and so on in East US, West Europe, this is Amsterdam, this one, France Central and Sweden Central, for example. Why are we doing this kind? Because there is a difference between their regions, or also you see the regions that we can create, what kind of models, what kind of GPT-4 is a new one, for example, GPT Turbo is the newest. If you are going to look after the last year, we have something like GPT-3 and then 3.5, 3.5 Turbo and so on. And they have been all available in different regions. For example, if I'm hit on West Europe now, so Amsterdam, for example, data center, then I get, I think, GPT 3.5 Turbo there. If I'm going to France, Sweden, as you can see here also, or East US, you get the latest one. GPT-4 is the newest one, and I will also use it in this kind of webinar. So just before you create, so you go to the Microsoft Azure portal, hit on Azure OpenAI, for example, then you see here this one, and then you create new resource. And if you want to create a resource, the one I can go also and create it with you. Let's do it live. Create a new one. So I'm just here. You can see all the subscriptions we have here. That's as a new Azure AI. Then we have some resource groups, and we are going to hit this one, OpenAI, for example. And we can just create here some resources. If I'm going to create, if I just focus on OpenAI, I can just hit this one, and you see if a subscription is already enabled for these, then you see there's no error this time, and you need to provide the right resource group, for example. If it's too quick for you, please ask for this. We can go follow. We can do follow-ups also, because it's a part of the Azure training I'm doing the whole time. So if I'm going here, then you see you can go on Germany West Central or Canada, or you're just going there and provide, for example, France Central. You need one. You see OpenAI, for example, as a name, and then the presenting standard, and you hit create. You can do, we will discuss this later. You can do this by providing the information on all networks, including internet, can access this resource. Best practice would be selected or private endpoints, for example, in this kind. We will discuss this later on this. So we just created this one of resource. Now we initialize this one, and we need to wait for a couple of minutes, and then it's done for us. Back to the slides, and you see we have created some kind of information here. So Azure AI Studio, and here this is a difference between the whole regions. So if I'm hit the Sweden Central, so OpenAI is a Sweden Central, we can see that is the OpenAI Studio. It opens in a playground. You can see there's a lot of information here. We can try whatever we want, for example, bring your own data and so on, but this is a starting point. The first time what you need is you can check the models and also deployments, since I have done some screenshots of for this time. We can also do a live demo later, but if you are in one of the regions that is enabled for GPT-4, you can see this one. If you are going to West Europe, for example, you see GPT-3.5 Turbo as is a default model or the latest model. So you can also create a new model, but you can also deploy this one. We have deployed GPT-4 Turbo, so you just create a deployment, choose GPT-4, and then it's done. That's nothing there. If you're going further, we can open after this chat playground. And then you see there's a system messages. And also later, I want to show you this part of add your data. So what is this for? You see, that's an assistant setup. So that is the internal, something internal, that is nothing you provide to your customers. Your customers see only this chat session. You have some configuration there. You see the GPT-4 Turbo is also as a deployment already selected here. And then we can go on and do some prompt engineering. So this is the system messages. I want to this kind of assistant or my GPT act like whatever I choose here from the templates, the Xbox customer support agent. There is a prompt engineering there that you provide the system messages. You do some examples. So you just say, how should this agent work? So what is this agent for? Should it sell ice? Should it act as an agent for support or for Xbox support and so on? And you see here how much is PS5, and the assistant should apologize and say, okay, I'm not care about the PS5. Please ask the Xbox devices. On the chat playground, you can go there and provide information or just ask something like this one. So for example, how do I power up my Xbox console and so on. So if you like, I can go also and show up this one in the portal. Oh, that is already done. Okay, then you see it from scratch. I don't need to show the another one. This is Front Central. It's already created for us. There are some keys and endpoints, so we can provide the information to another resource to get access to this model deployment, also pricing tier and so on. But what we are doing here is, you see here on the right side, go to Azure OpenAI Studio. Just open this one, and we see in a moment. Now this is okay. Azure OpenAI is, of course, here you can just create new deployments. You see the models. That is what we have done earlier. If I want to create a new model, I just select one. whatever 4. Let's take this one, auto update deployment, GPT-4 example, and advanced option we don't need, create, it's already there. And you see here, I can choose only this time because I just created this. So you see the deployments. If you clicked on this, we have created this one more time now. It's 6:13, and we can just go there and hit the system messages. Select templates, for example, Xbox customer, agent. So you are the customer, what is PS5, and so on. Okay, great. And then I can go there and see if it's already worked. Oh, NAPI deployment does not exist. It was too early. So that is like a live demo. If you are too quick on this, try another one. Oh, come on. Okay, no problem. I can also go to another resource, for example, in Sweden, and hit the same here. So that's the same. I do not ask anything. It was just, this should work. When was Xbox released? And then we can see now the original Xbox console was released in November 15, 2001. Wow. But this is the first one. So if I'm asking about the Xbox One, of course, it will provide me another information. And the next one, I want to know, how do I power up my Xbox console? I don't know if you can see this, but the information in the output from the assistant had been created word by word. So you see also sentence per sentence. So it's not the bunch of information directly that had been created. So it creates it. It takes a while during the created. It's created tokens wise. And if you are ready on this, we can just go and move on this. You have seen this is kind of prompt engineering. So you are doing here, you say how the agent should work on you, how should it provide the information. I can also ask, what about PS5? Let's see what we get there. It's done. Normally, the chatbot would, I would break the chatbot, because what is about PS5 would be the correct sentence. So you need a verb, you need some kind of grammar structure in your sentence. And the chatbots earlier, I would directly break it, because, okay, if it's keyword based, okay, then it would create or should recognize PS5 and then say, okay, that's about PS5. Let's see what we can do there, and so on. So, but if there are some words missing, then you need a dialog system, for example, to ask back, what do you mean on this, and so on. Or, for example, if I'm asking, what about? So that's nothing there. So it's completely breaks the chatbot in this side. It should ask me back, what do you want exactly? Yeah, should have been cut off. If you have further questions or need assistance, please go there and provide information about Xbox or ask about the Xbox. So that is the part I want to mention now. So because we wanted to show what's about in the third part, what's about your data. And the use case here is if you have customers that query your agents, for example, and they get some responses from the agents. The agents, they are searched in a database, for example. It can be a wiki website, it can be a SQL database, it can be storage, SharePoint, whatever. Azure OpenAI or Azure AI in general can do the same. You're going to query from here. The language query would be here, and you can also search from the knowledge base, and it can be stored everywhere, whatever you want. So if we are going to look after this one, what can it be? For example, if you want to generate answer, you need some data sources. So you need a knowledge base. This kind of knowledge base can be public data. That have you seen, for example, on ChatGPT. I can also ask on ChatGPT because of the public data, whatever, what is a Microsoft 365 or so on. So perhaps we need to just provide here the information I'm asking. What is Azure AI, or what is Microsoft 365, or what is about Azure AI set of different services and cognitive APIs provided by Microsoft through Azure Cloud Platform and so on. So that is, that is public data that Microsoft is used here. They just provide the information here from the data sources from Microsoft Learn and so on. So they look up the Azure documentation, for example, and provide you the information here. That is the same. But that's really cool because I get the answer here, but at the same time, do not forget about the Xbox console and so on. So you feel free to ask questions about this back. And I think that I like the idea behind this because the system is trained, so prompt engineer trained from my side to be a customer agent for Xbox. And if I'm asking something else, normally, in general, I would break the chatbot directly because my knowledge base is only about the Xbox support. So in my knowledge base is only the information about Xbox data released, how to use or power up, and so on. So if I'm asking something directly different, the normal chatbots earlier, so during my PhD, we have struggled a lot of creating chatbots. They know everything because the knowledge base for this is too expensive. And Microsoft or OpenAI also, they have spent a lot of money to create these kinds of models. Okay, I can ask the public data. That can be a public website, also Bing search that is also here they implemented. It should be, it could be, or it should be also my SharePoint or also internal. So I'm on my SharePoint. I have to provide all certification there by the delegation for the app registration to the Graph API to query this data, to run the queries against the SharePoint. But this is another topic on this time. If I want to get there with Azure OpenAI, I have to provide the information for the search. So I have to do some index there. I can show you later more on this. So, and also I can upload documents like whatever, documents from the Azure documentation, Microsoft documentation, for example, as we have done this for our demos here for this webinar. So we have a storage accounts that is, there are a lot of data like TXT or PDF or another types of data, of documents, and then you can just go there and query these kind of documents and provide the information. So if you want to start on this point, we have to implement this on the assistant setup. We have to add our data as a data source. So let's do this. The new one, so earlier last year, also by the end of the year, there have been Azure Blob, Cosmos DB, and upload files. So if you look for some presentation from my side earlier, you see a lot of difference also there. We have Azure Cognitive Search earlier. This is Azure AI Search called now. So we can we can choose this one and query our data. We can go there and provide Azure Blob Storage and also website URL and so on. So we choose our data source here. Our data sources that we prepared is we have an OpenAI storage account. So that's have nothing to do with OpenAI. That's just the name of the resource group. So, and we named our storage account OpenAI Search Storage. So it's typically that's the blob storage. You see the container here. We have some Azure docs there. They are uploaded. Some users from our side, from some uploads from whatever data from KIT, some lectures here. We see here some SQL data, the pre-filled SQL database, and also our SharePoint for Azure Docs or Microsoft 365 Docs and so on. So what we can do now is we choose as a data source, for example, our Azure Block Storage. We need to provide one Azure subscription. This is Azure AI. We need to provide the storage account. So this is a resource we have created on this. That is the storage account. Then you have seen here, if I'm going one back, we have one container here that is called Azure Docs. So this is one kind of example here. And then we need also to provide this search account, Azure AI search resource. This kind of account you need to create extra. That is something that it's not created on with the Azure OpenAI Studio, because that is the search that is the search resource that isn't going to be here. If I'm going back to one slide to show you earlier, I'm sorry, we have seen it here. That is one kind of Azure Applied AI services here, and a cognitive search, as it's called now, Azure AI Search. So this is kind of a resource that we point to OpenAI, or we point from OpenAI to the search to our data. Perhaps it's better direction this time. So also we enter an index name, for example, Azure, and hit next. And now, okay, this search type, it's only keywords, but it's okay for this time. And then we need to progress to pre-processing progress, starting the ingestion and indexing, also starting there. I've started these few hours ago, just to show here. Let's see if it's already done. You see here your data there's a warning on the characters, but you see here that there are a lot of data that should be pre-processed by Microsoft. So you see here they have nearly 28,000 files here, and it spent a lot of time to provide this kind of data to the services. There's a pre-processing, then there's an indexing there, and then you can use this kind of data resource to run your chat sessions on this. So if we are ready perhaps to go, so we set up our data, we are here ready for chat session. Then we can deploy this one to a web app, or also to a new Power Virtual Agent board. But we skip this time because it's also called now different. We see, or in this demo, I will just show the web app. If you click on the web app, you see there's a deployment to a web app. You have you can create a new one. You need to provide the name, the subscription, and so on, or update the existing web app. The problem on this side is the web app should be unique named by you. So if you just create this from this, it can be also cancelled by and say, okay, this name is already taken, and so on. On this slide, you see here we have deployed this web app and also provide this as a web application, and yeah, you can just chat here for your end users. The problem on this side is if I'm going to hit this kind of query, how to create app registration, you see it's one reference here. I'm sorry for the German here. This should be one reference here. This is tutorial connect app, blah, 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 part 1. So it's the Azure docs. And you see to create the app registration in Azure, follow these steps and so on. If you if you are getting there and provide the same input one more time, as I mentioned earlier, you see the same, nearly the same information. The content is different now, or you see you get different output, but it's the same information. You need to create app registration and new registration and so on. Where do you create it? It's compared. So the next point, what do you have to create? I think, because if you provide this kind of web app, that is something from the public. So public IP address, for example, for your customers, for your website, and so on. If it's only for your internal use, you can do authentication here and just check your customers or your employees also internal for authentication to your Microsoft Entra, and then it's all done, and then you can use this kind of web app. This web app you should use one kind of AI private endpoints. So these endpoints on OpenAI, they are not public. So you do not place your chat your chat assistants in public, also your search services and so on. You have to provide your management virtual machine. For example, you are going to create new virtual machine on Azure, and then you are going to manage this playground, Azure AI Studio, for example, through this machine. So through this machine, I can just go there and connect to the services and configure them. If I'm going to use this, it should be all private, and you see it one more time here. So if we are now ready to use this kind of data, you have seen this one, add data. I can also get there and provide Azure AI search or blob storage and so on. So that is the same time upload files. Also, I need to provide the storage account on the web URL. I need to provide the AI search resource. Oh, FreeTime is not supported, no problem. Blob storage for this and so on. And going to the website, you see there's some time we need to check for this kind of resource. And yeah, that is it on this kind of Azure OpenAI Studio. What I wanted to show to you, of course, is the new part and also the Azure AI. So the machine learning part is, if I'm large with this studio also, you will see the deployments. If I'm going to, this is a machine learning portal, you see I have a workplace there, I have some components, I have the data, I have the models, I can create models by myself and so on. This is kind what we have used for 2, 3, 4, 5 years already. It has been there's been more features on there, so Microsoft added more features. OpenAI is something from my last year, and Azure AI Studio is something what is completely new. And what I'm going to show to you is just how can you now fix the difference or get the difference on these, how to get the behavior from a user more specific, configured, and so on. So then we are talking about prompt flows that prompt flows have been it was a part of Machine Learning Studio earlier. Now that is in the new Azure AI workplace. What I need for this is I'm going to Azure AI Studio hit this one and also create one, then you have seen I launch Azure AI Studio here. What I see here on the home, of course, my recent projects and some examples I can use. What is the difference on these? I have here a lot of models from different companies, for example, Hugging Face, also Meta, of course, Azure OpenAI, NVIDIA, and so on. So I can also create different models or use different models, as Satya Nadella announced this in a keynote at the Ignite in November. We can use all of the stuff here, and it's not compared to I have to use also Azure OpenAI models the whole time. That's not the same. That is one big announcement we have from the November last year. We can also go to the Explore. Then we have speech, reason, language. I can also do these directly in the. This is a build. We're going to Explore, and then you see there's a catalog from all the from all the collections, from announcement, from the models. If I want to view the llamas, you see that's quite big models here, and we see the versions, the artifact, and so on. We are going back to catalog. Then we can also do speech analysis, real-time speech to text, batch speech to text, and so on. Then we're going to language. We can summarize, of course, something like extract named entities, but it's not the new one. I think that you have already done this before. So content safety, that is completely the new one, because if you are provide AI some AI information here, you need to provide the information here on violence, self-harm, sexual hate, and so on. And you can see the results clearly if you're going to run this on your Azure AI workspace, for example. Then you can provide some kind of test. So if there's something harmful here, you can run the test and you can pass or not. Then I can switch to the slides and going back to also Playground. If you deployed some new one, you see here, you can choose the deployment. This looks really familiar to the information we have seen on OpenAI or Azure OpenAI Studio. That's the same. You have here system messages, add your data, and so on. You can chatting here and also deploy this later. If you want to deploy a model, that cost me 3,000 last month, so I am not doing this one more time. But if you are going to deploy something like this, 14 cores, and there's a lot of GPU power where you see there's a deployment name, what I have done here, and the quarter is chosen here. You can see the endpoint URL also. Then it takes a while. Then I would think it was more than 15 minutes last time deployment has been created. If it's created, then I can use it. On the prompt flows, that is really cool idea on this one, because you get the input and after this you get an output. Perhaps I'm showing you this time in, I'm going to build next flow. So if you are going to show here one, you see the deployments, you see what we have done. The playgrounds also, how does it looks like. You can also do this in the dark theme or light theme if you like. I prefer the dark one. Unfortunately, OpenAI Studio cannot be moved to the dark one. There's some evaluation topics here. The prompt engineering here, the next flow. And if I'm going here, you see I have an input and I have an output. That is the same what we have done earlier. So now you can see, you can just go and configure what kind of information would be here. You extracted data from one source. You get your VQL, you see there's a Python code here. You search results from the URL, so you import here, you get some information here. You process search result, and then you get your output. So that is really cool because you see what input earlier on the OpenAI Studio was, I get my input there and get my output back. I get my input there and get my output back. If I'm not really happy with my output, then I have to use, I think, prompt flows that I need to get the input, provide more information from another source, provide more data from the third one. You can see, you can add to your flows LLMs. You can see here, you can add prompts, you can see Pythons and so on. So scripts, if you want to run this, you need runtime, of course. And I prepared this one because it depends how long. If there's no runtime there, you have to create one. So I wanted to show this also. Then I'm going here and say, okay, I want to add new runtime. I say should be global AI runtime. And then if there are no compute instances for this, you see there's Azure ML compute instance here. I have to create this Azure ML compute instance. Then I can choose between CPUs and GPUs, of course. And if you want to run CPUs, okay, if a small test, it's not a problem. If you want more power, use GPU. And then you see what is inside of your tenant or of your subscriptions, what kind of queries I have. You see, I have no queries for GPUs anymore. So I have to choose CPUs here and just run this time this kind of machine that is 29 per hour. That's okay if it's running for several hours, but not 24/7 and for 1 month or later. So you do not provide this kind of big resources for this whole time. Depends on your data, of course, and depends on your subscription. If you want to spend several thousand, you can do it, of course. So you see here, we create this time. It should be auto shutdown after 60 minutes of inactivity. That's also great to configure. So it should not be run idle for months if you do not use it. When it's creating, it depends on the instance, of course, but it takes half an hour, perhaps 15 minutes to create these kinds of instance. Then it's running, it has been created, great, we can choose it and create your our runtime. Then we are here in our runtime, and then you see we can run the whole flow on these. And also what I'm also like, you have seen here, we can open this project in our Visual Studio Code on web. So it also be configured on our compute instance. So we need one compute, we create this one, or we choose this runtime V2 we created earlier. And we see now that will be launched after it has been created. And now we are in our Visual Studio Code directly in our workspace, as I've also done on Azure ML Studio. That is the same experience. I see my Python scripts here. So you see it here. It has the names as we also see this here. We are going back. You can also see the names here, extract query from questions, or another one, get wiki URL, search result from URL, and so on. So we are creating this time the Visual Studio Code, and now we can work. And if you are familiar with Visual Studio Code, perhaps you like this more. So this is our extract query from questions. So this is a prompt engineering, the systems, the user, the examples, how the system should work. And now you see here, you can just go there and provide more prompt engineering here. You see also that get wiki URLs, the Python scripts that we can just program here and provide the information. And if we are doing something, we manipulate it here, it's directly saved in our Azure AI Studio. And if you are going to look after this in the studio, so this is the screen, that is a live vision now. I'm go to Flow, I hit next flow. I can also open this in OpenAI, and also on web or on desktop. I don't want to do this, but you see that it's the same information here. We can just manipulate the inputs here by the one steps that are completed, and of course going there and provide the outputs. So what we have to also here, we can check for deployments. I don't have any more because it was too expensive for this time for the demo. The evaluation, the prompt flows are here. If we are going to Azure OpenAI services, you can see here, as I'm going to the resource groups for OpenAI and just hit this one, you see the app service is up and running. We have a private endpoint. We have some network interfaces for these. We have some Azure OpenAI. That's one that I have created earlier during the webinar. And perhaps I'm going back to show the whole information here. We have some SQL database. We can query also private endpoint for the search also. We're going to the search service, for example. We have some data sources here. Not anymore. Search service, this one, sorry. Data sources. Okay, it should take me to the view with the whole data sources we have here. I think we have done this to be in private, so from the private endpoint. That's why it doesn't work from the portal anymore. But the idea on this is, of course, if you are going to look it after, you want to provide this kind of information here. I'm in Azure portal. I need to connect to my management VM, and not now. It was just logged in to the portal and wanted to query this time. They are behind private endpoints and they are not available anymore from every kind of resource. So this is a management machine that manages this kind of information. The web app is a front end for the data we want to query, and that's that is another one. That is one architecture you can implement on there, so on the portal to use this. So I think that's it. We have only two minutes left. If there are any questions, welcome to answer. And thank you very much for your attention. And yeah, have a nice day.
Thank you, Alexander, for a great presentation and demo. So we'll just get into the questions part now. So again, should you wish to ask a question, please feel free to type it into the questions window now. So the first question I have here is someone wants to know how to modify the citation in Azure OpenAI to link my documents from the blob storage to a URL. so that the citation will direct to an external link and not to the text in the file, which is in blob storage.
If I understand this correctly, you want to go there to, we have provided our data. And if we provide our data, there are some storage, let's see, storage accounts, OpenAI search accounts, for example, and then we have here our containers, and all of these containers, they have data here. And what you are typically do, if you query these data, I can just going there and download one time of this and just open it. Let's see if this works. Yeah, there is some text data that, no, not release note. There's some text data. This is Azure documentation, and you see here there are a lot of language here that you need to query here from your Azure Search. So if I'm going here to create this kind of topic, you have to, one moment, here you have to provide your blob storage resource, your container you want to query, and the search resource. The search resource would index the information inside your containers, inside your blob storage, and will provide you the information for your question. So if you like to have your information here from the Azure docs answered, you need to provide the documents, provide the search engine. The search engine would be the Azure AI search resource, and then it queries it for you and gives you the information back. I hope that's
Brilliant.
answers.
Thanks, Alexander. So
Sure.
the next question then is, when you chat with your own data, are the tokens for the data citations affecting the price as well as the prompt and completion?
Yes. So you have some quotas. Yeah, you have some quotas here. So if you are going to Azure OpenAI and you see, perhaps you started it already. Yeah. Yeah, we have some deployments, and you see what kind of capacity do you have, what kind of here rate limits, also tokens per minute, and so on. And if you are going to here system messages and you are doing the prompt engineering stuff, you're also that is kind of information you also going to provide for the chat session, and it's also cost, of course.
Great, thanks, Alex. So there's just one more question then, and someone wants to know how to integrate Office 365 apps content into Azure OpenAI.
Office 365 apps, that's not, it's something you have on your Microsoft 365 Copilot, I think. One moment, I can perhaps showing it up in another slide. I need one. Give me a second. So your apps, they are part from Microsoft 365 services. So there's a Copilot on there, and the information is here. You activate your Microsoft 365 Copilot. What do you need here is if a user prompt the query, you see that this query is going to Microsoft Graph. For example, I take this slide from the Jeremy Chapman. That is Microsoft Ignite session from his side, and the information from Microsoft 365 app, it's all stored in the Microsoft Graph about your contacts, about your emails, files, meetings, chats, calendar, contacts, whatever you want. We call this grounding. So the information the user provided in the user prompt, it should be enriched with the information in Microsoft Graph. Then this kind of input is going to the large language model and also to Azure OpenAI, for example, as an instance. That is, Microsoft 365 also uses Azure OpenAI behind. Then we get our response back, checked about the compliance and purview, if it's okay for us to provide this information, and then gets back here to the user. So for the Microsoft 365 apps, you should use Microsoft 365 Copilot. So that should be enabled in your tenant, and then you can use this one.
Brilliant. Thanks, Alexander. So there's just one more question that's come in there,
Sure.
and we might wrap it up then after that. So this person is saying, I am working on creating an agent for conversing with my data, which primarily comprises videos in MP4 format. To streamline this process, I've extracted all the transcripts and stored them in PDF files, which have been uploaded to a container in Azure Blob Storage. The snag I have hit revolves around the citation process. Presently, the citation refers to the link of the file in storage, but my objective is to have the citation reflect the video link directly on its platform.
Okay. So the data is right that you query, but you get the wrong output, if I understand this correctly. So MP4, then you have your text files as a transcript, and then you get the information in the answer. I think we should get this person a follow up because it's too complex to understand it in 1 minute from the question. I don't know exactly what kind of information doesn't work there.
Perfect. We might get that person to follow up with Alex after this webinar. Okay, so that concludes the questions and answers session. So just on behalf of the ESPC community, I want to extend a huge thank you to you again, Alexander, for taking the time today to carry out this webinar. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you very much for organizing, and it was a pleasure to be a part of Azure AI Week. Have a nice day. See you next time.
That's it for today, folks. Thanks again to everyone for joining us today. Take care, and we hope that you'll join us again for more learning. Bye for now.